very good evening to you. I am Ryan Broom with the Thursday, October 26th edition of the CBC Evening News. In our top story, 8 outstanding healthcare professionals have been named as Barbados' new health heroes. It comes as a Pan-American Health Organization, or Pahoa, honored them at a ceremony to mark Barbados' 50th anniversary of membership. Rianne Phillips tells us more.
The 8 health heroes selected all made outstanding contributions in the medical arena. They include Dr. Elizabeth Ferdinand for her work in immunization, Senator Dr. Carol Jacobs for her work with HIV and AIDS, and Dr. Shirley Hanneman Jagaru for her work with breast cancer awareness. Noreen Merritt, Dr. Elliot Duglin, and the late Dr. Oscar Jordan were saluted for their work in diabetes and helping to reduce deaths from NCDs. Meanwhile, Dr. George Mayhe and Dr. Ermine Bell were honored for their work in mental health and substance abuse, respectively. Director of the Pan-American Health Organization, Dr. Carissa Etienne, says the 8 heroes have made invaluable contributions in their respective fields.
The 8 health heroes of Barbados that we will honor this evening are drawn from a wide range of health disciplines. However, we wish to emphasize that these awardees are a symbolic representation of all of those health heroes who currently work day in and day out, who have worked day in and day out in the past, as well as those who are continuing to work to improve the health of the peoples of Barbados and the Caribbean.
Meanwhile, Acting Health Minister Donville Innes commended the heroes, saying they deserve the awards.
I look at the list as it came in this evening of those who are receiving the awards this evening, and I feel extremely proud as a former Minister of Health, but more importantly as a young Barbadian, for the awardees this evening. I believe you have chosen well, Pahoa. These are men and women who have done exceptionally well.
Barbados became a member of Pahoa in 1967, shortly after gaining independence. Since then, that agency has helped with several developments in the local healthcare sector. Rianne Phillips, CBC News.
Thanks, Rianne. Well, local and regional companies have had mixed fortunes in trying to penetrate the European Union through the Economic Partnership Agreement. This from Commerce Minister Donville Innes. He acknowledges that some challenges are expected with an agreement like the EPA, but feels a greater problem is a lack of political will to get things done. Mr. Innes was addressing a close-out workshop for the CARICOM Single Market and Economy and EPA standby facilities. The funds given to the CARICOM by the EU are intended to be used for capacity building across the region.
There is not enough enthusiasm, strong and decisive leadership and will at the political level through the Caribbean region to get these things done. There's also a need for a paradigm shift in our attitudes. This region is permeated with attitudes that say still, someone else owes me a favor. Ladies and gentlemen, in case you haven't realized it as yet, no one owes us a favor. We must change our attitude and recognize that we have to get up and get things done for ourselves.
And Minister Innes says both the private sector and civil society all need to have much stronger and more decisive leadership.
What is passing off today as strong leadership is really very mediocre and certainly will not take this region forward. So in this context and given the new economic challenges, there remains an urgent need to strengthen interagency collaboration between private, public sector and the EU institutions on national policy work with respect to the economic partnership and trade agreements. And given the new level of complexity within the global economy, which is becoming more rapid and fluid, Barbados remains cognizant of the importance of having a balanced, sustainable, and robust trade policy agenda that would assist in managing and navigating future growth and development within the 21st century global economy.
Meantime, Barbados and others in the region have been given a warning of sorts from the European Union. Head of the EU delegation, Ambassador Daniela Tramachere, says they're committed to the full implementation of the EPA, but it's time to change the nature of the relationship between the two.
As we continue to transform our relationship, I'm talking about now the Caribbean, CARIFORUM and European Union, we have to move on from the traditional donor-recipient type of relationship towards a more mature relationship as partners. And this is the common theme that I keep on reiterating, and not only me, of course, but everybody from our side at least, in all the possible fora. And this means actually that you have to be in the lead. I mean, we are ready to support. We have, but we have a responsibility to change pattern, to start a new paradigm in our relationship.
And the ambassador says it's time for a critical and honest review of what has been done over the years, with a view to coming up with solutions.
Through the 9 EDF and the 10 EDF, we have invested, and when I talk about investment, it's not because it is a foreign direct investment, but invested as partners with our cooperation, approximately 37 million to support the Caribbean single market economy. And then other 46, almost 47 million to support the EPA implementation. We can't afford not to see results. And this not because we put money and we want something back, not because we believe in what we have been doing, but of course, like you, we sometimes can get frustrated about the lack of results.
The Inter-American Development Bank, or IDB, has approved a $20 million loan to help Barbados strengthen its global tourism presence. The Washington-based financial institution says a loan will assist Barbados in increasing the appeal of its tourism attractions, with a focus on encouraging more spending by visitors on its unique heritage and cultural products. It will also enhance the digital visibility of Barbados in the global tourism market and increasing the country's international aviation connections. The IDB says tourism is a main driver for the economy of Barbados, and the industry has repeatedly experienced peaks and valleys in terms of its total number of visitors and receipts. In 2015, the IDB said tourism contributed 12% of Barbados's gross domestic product and about 37% of total employment and 60.4% of total import-exports. Well, the Independence Music Show featuring an all-Barbadian cast is back, and this year, in addition to honoring 3 outstanding musicians, Barbados' music will focus on bringing back some of the top bands of the 90s. Lisa Broom has more.
The promoters behind the second installment of Barbados' music intend to do more than just provide a good show come November 9th. It's put on by Bajan Music Rocks, and one of the directors, Sean Franklin, says they want to bring back the days when live bands were the highlight of the entertainment scene.
Now is reduced DJs, maybe a solo artist here and there, but we have so much talented musicians coming out of the Barbados music schools, community college, etc. And I think that we need to show them that, that the music can take you places. And that's what we intend to do with Barbados' music.
Philip Forrester, who is well known for his work with 90s R&B bands 40 People and 4Play, also shared this concern. He says the local entertainment scene is missing the bands.
It is sad that after we all left the scene, Splash Band, 40 People, we've never seen that happen in Barbados. And the irony is, the Barbadians still love music. Why now, in this particular era of time, that we're not seeing the clubs filled again with musicians showcasing their talent? And it is quite sad to see.
Forrester's 40 People will be revived for the show along with Splash Band, and in an effort to mix the old with the new, performers like Nikita, Shan, Joaquin and Alex Cage will take the stage, and it will all be pulled together by a lineup of DJs led by DJ Puffy. Now, according to Mr. Franklin, the show will honor 3 musicians this year: outstanding saxophonist Arturo Tapin and musicians Nicholas Branker and Adrian Boo Husbands posthumously. Lisa Broom, CBC News.
Well, we take a pause here, but we'll be back with more news after the break.
We listened to what you had to say and tore up the old rules, because losing what you paid for is just wrong. Now lost data and talk are a thing of the past. Only Digicel gives you unlimited rollover data and talk. Just buy and renew your Quick Pick bundle before it expires and keep what's rightfully yours. Never lose what you don't use. Go to My Digicel app to bundle up and roll over today. Digicel.
It started with my love for making things. That became a business. And when I wanted to expand, I chose a partner that could help me build on my vision. A partner that made growing my business easier with fewer steps. That's banking that starts with me.
It starts with you. Scotiabank.
Bye, Dad.
Tell me the names of the bombers.
I work for the government, not terrorists.
Lie. You used to work for them.
He's trained. Levy Special Forces.
Tell me who killed my child.
You have no idea who you're dealing with.
Do you?
Somebody say a prayer for
The Foreigner.
Second big week. Olympus Cinemas.
Help support the restoration efforts for the hundreds of thousands affected by catastrophic hurricanes. Donate to the Red Cross Hurricane Relief account at any branch of the following: CIBC First Caribbean, account number 10011633436. First Citizens, 500-900-00588. RBC Royal Bank, 210-05073. And Republic Bank, 01804-153-1001. Monies raised will be sent to the International Red Cross for its restoration work for affected persons. Appeal closes 30th November 2017. Persons wishing to post checks should make these out to Red Cross Hurricane Relief Appeal account and post to Barbados Red Cross Society, P.O. Box 300 Bridgetown, or hand deliver to the Red Cross Warrens headquarters. The Barbados Red Cross and commercial banks, on behalf of the victims of catastrophic hurricanes, thank all persons and businesses for their contributions.
Welcome back. Well, if no national social responsibility levy, then what else? That question has been posed by Parliamentary Secretary in the Ministry of Finance and Economic Affairs, Senator Jepta Ince, to those against its introduction. During the second reading of the National Social Responsibility Amendment Bill 2017 yesterday, Senator Ince said the purpose of the levy was outlined along with the projected revenue, and he insists government is moving to safeguard today while building a platform for the future.
Are we here to protect country, Mr. Deputy President, or are we here to protect self? Are we here for economic development along with economic growth, or are we here just for a day to say that our names were written in history, to say that we occupied a space, we occupied a chair? But what have we done for our country? What have we done for our people? And I say, when we look at the NSRL, despite the challenges, despite the pain, it is for the good of Barbados.
And government has received a serious tongue lashing from Opposition Senator Wilfred Abrams in reference to the National Social Responsibility Levy. Senator Abrams has questioned why Finance Minister Chris Sinclair's timeline to bring the fiscal deficit in line was only a year. He says it was a case of too much, too soon.
What is the sense of that if you do it on the backs of suffering Barbadians? The majority of the economists said if you had to deal with the fiscal deficit and try to rein it in, then the reasonable period to look at is 3 years. You heard that from former Prime Minister, Mr. Arthur. You heard that from independent economists in Barbados. And you heard that from the other economists who are watching Barbados closely and commenting. The levy did not have to be so high because we did not have to make that fiscal adjustment in a year. 3 years would have been a reasonable period to do it in, and a reasonable period across which to spread the burden.
Meanwhile, veteran trade unionists and independent senators Roy Chapman says government's refusal to accept suggestions from those outside the party is a major setback for nation-building efforts. He says the labor movement's efforts to provide solutions are often condemned simply because they do not support government's position.
The impression is given that if you happen to disagree with the government or with the minister of the crown, that then you are not only unwise and stupid, but you're wicked and pernicious, and that everything you do should somehow be smothered in hell's flames.
Well, the Citizen Action Partnership is ready to change the two-party system, saying it is geared up to take over Barbados politically. CAP is a political member organization focused on facilitating the joint promotion of candidates, whether unattached to a political party or member of a political party which is not represented in the House of Assembly. And a memorandum of understanding has been signed among political aspirants, further cementing their commitment to the CAP's values and policies. Leader Wendell Callender says Barbadians are tired of handing the reins of government from one party to another and want more alternatives.
This country needs to utilize talents from all spheres of life and be held accountable. No one party should be able to lay in wait in the knowledge that if it is not D, then it has to be B. But sorry for them, there will be a C. Citizens Action Partnership. We have come to.
The CAP's Margot Durant calendar says a candidate forum comprising partners preparing for the next general elections is being set up.
The Candidates Forum will be a vehicle to facilitate team building, mentorship, training, and political organization for candidates. Advisory and technical personnel are being recruited for specialized functions to assist the team. A stakeholders forum comprising donors of service, skills, and finance will.
Former Chief Justice Sir David Simmons is of the view that new legislation is needed to combat corruption in Barbados. Citing the Turks and Caicos Islands as an example, Sir David says the British Overseas Territory has proven it is possible to regulate the conduct of politicians and public officials. Sir David was a featured speaker at the St. Gabriel's School as corruption came under the microscope. His topic, tackling corruption in a small Caribbean jurisdiction.
By statutory intervention. But I'm not so naive as to believe or to suggest that legislation is a panacea. It is not. Legislation will provide infrastructure for regulation. The enactment of the text of legislation I have discussed requires political will. Yep. But even after the legislation has been enacted, it is the personal integrity of politicians, public officials, and persons in the private sector that will be the determinant of success. Yep. You're either corruptible or incorruptible.
Mr. David says the work of the Integrity Commission has led to good governance.
The Commission's work has engendered a feeling that sincere efforts are being made to ensure that best practices in governance are being pursued vigorously in the TCA and valiant efforts are being made to restore the international reputation of the TCA.
A major part of Pahoa's 50th anniversary celebrations was the planting of 5 trees by a number of officials. Each one represented a decade of the Pan-American Health Organization's presence in Barbados. Among them, Acting Minister of Health Donville Innes, Acting Chief Medical Officer Kenneth George, and Pahoa's Director Dr. Carissa Etienne, along with other officials. With the assistance of NCC Gardener Stanley Motley, they planted Mammy Apple, Soursop, Golden Apple, Five Finger, and Sugar Apple trees.
Trees that we plant here this morning really and truly, in my mind, provides us with the opportunity to recognize that it can only grow into a very sturdy and fruit-bearing tree if it is nurtured and nurtured well. And I think the 50 years that we've had together thus far is because that tree that was planted perhaps 50 years ago has been well nurtured, well taken care of, pruned every year and whatnot. And really and truly today we see the fruits of it. And perhaps 50 years from now we see what this really and truly symbolizes in terms of friendship we brought up over the years.
And Director of Pahoa, Dr. Carissa Etienne, is describing the organization's commitment to continue working closely with the government and people of Barbados as unwavering.
We have substantially reduced the incidence of mother-to-child transmission of HIV and congenital syphilis, and we do hope that very soon we will be able to declare that Barbados has eliminated the vertical transmission of these two diseases. We have made progress on the road to destigmatize mental illness, and we note that Barbados was one of the first Caribbean countries to reform its mental health services to ensure that stigma is eliminated.
One of Barbados' best-known funeral directors will make the journey to the graveyard one last time when Sinclair Harper is laid to rest. CBC's Shane Jones explains.
The area of Hinesbury St. Michael is home to one of Barbados' most commonly used landmarks, Paramount Funeral Home. When we visited there, black flags could be seen flying, signifying the mourning of owner Sinclair Harper. On the inside, tears flowed freely as staff, family and friends consoled each other, all remembering the 96-year-old man who passed away on Tuesday.
One of the best dressed funeral directors, and I'm sure that those persons who know him would concur to that. He was a sharp dresser, witty, firm, disciplinarian, good business person, loved people, loved to help people, loved people to respect themselves.
Mrs. Belgrave Blunt says Mr. Harper made Paramount Funeral Home into a household name.
As Mr. Harper always instilled in us that service comes before money, and whenever we come to Paramount, we ought to think about good service and that everything done at Paramount is done above board.
Stepson and Managing Director Leon Lewis says the garage was first established on the property in 1966 and then evolved to a funeral home and taxi service in 1976. He remembers the early years.
Technology has changed a lot of things. You don't have to go through. There weren't many morticians around. They had to depend on people to come in and just put up the body, and but nothing. Not like a mortician will do it now, but that's where one of the big changes.
Mr. Harper is survived by his 97-year-old wife Elsie, 2 daughters, Hazel and Caswell, and 2 stepchildren, Leon and Joan. Shane Jones, CBC News.
Your favorite time of year again when everyone is cleaning and fixing and painting. So, are you holiday ready? Harris Paints is celebrating 45 years of color. Get 45% off all Perma products, 30% off all Ultima Plus, and much more. Plus, for every $50 you spend, you get a chance to win a grand prize of $10,000 cash. You can also win one of 45 prizes of Farmer's Choice hams, gas and grocery vouchers, and Harris gift cards. Get holiday ready with Harris Paints, the Caribbean champions of color.
November 1st and 2nd. Get ready for Innovate Barbados, a conference like no other, delivering unique experiences and collaborative connections. Innovate for impact. Explore groundbreaking ideas, big talks from industry thought leaders, and the right mix of business with pleasure. Take the unique opportunity to book your own exclusive one-on-one networking experience with featured conference and keynote speakers in our Connection Zone. This all happens in one place, the Lloyd Erskine Sanford Center in Barbados, November 1st and 2nd. Let's meet at Innovate Barbados 2017, the premier innovation conference of the Caribbean. Secure your space at innovatebarbados.com. Innovate Barbados. Register now.
Do you want audience numbers? Over 140,000 people are watching Morning Barbados and the evening news. 6 out of 10 top radio personalities are found right here at the CBC. CBC delivers the audience you need.
Community Files.
Bring your torchlight and be a part of the Barbados Museum's first Torchlight Tour, Millie Gone to Brazil, on Friday, October 27th. You will experience the museum after dark and take part in guided gallery tours and live reenactments and performances, which will educate and entertain the entire family. Tours will be 1 hour in duration and will run from 6:30 to 10:30 p.m. The last tour will begin at 9:30 p.m. There is an admission fee. Please call the museum at 538-0201 or email info@barbmuse.org.bb for more information.
Over 100 people have been arrested across Dominica following the passage of Hurricane Maria. Acting Deputy Chief of Police Davison Valerie admitted during a press briefing the police force is severely challenged that the situation was made worse as people took advantage of their absence in a number of communities. People were held for a number of offenses.
To date, there is a number of 105 persons who have been arrested for such offenses, and that include burglaries, theft, taking conveyance, and the various criminal offenses that have been committed. We are grateful to have received the support of the regional forces.
The police force has increased night patrols, and Mr. Valerie says it will ensure Dominicans adhere to the curfew order in the capital. The Ministry of Justice, Immigration and Natural Security announced that the curfew will now be active between 10 at night and 5 in the morning in Roseau.
You are supposed to be at your homes at 10 o'clock, indoors at 10 o'clock. So there is no reason why the police should find you outside, outdoor, after 10 o'clock in the evening and before 5 o'clock in the morning. There is the requirement for persons who need to be outside after 10 o'clock, and as have been indicated and stipulated, you must apply to the Chief of Police for a pass, a permit which guarantees you the right to be outside after 10 o'clock at nights.
The Jamaica Public Service is reporting that one person has been arrested for electricity theft after it was found that an illegal connection was being used to heat an indoor swimming pool and hot tub at a business and residence in downtown Kingston. The JPS says during a recent operation, several other illegal connections were removed. According to the Light and Power Company, it has been uncovering electricity theft through targeted operations, increased use of analytics and meter auditing. The JPS says it has found that persons have been attempting to bypass their meters for electrical appliances and swimming pools to avoid paying the correct energy consumption cost. The JPS says the theft is being detected in affluent communities like Manor Park, Cherry Gardens, and Meadowbrook, St. Andrew, as well as areas in the lower socioeconomic zones. Well, CARICOM and Mexico have agreed to strengthen cooperation in disaster risk management. The agreement forms part of a joint declaration issued at the end of the 4th CARICOM-Mexico Summit held in Belize. The Mexico-CARICOM strategy for comprehensive disaster risk management will have 3 main lines of work. The strategy will strengthen initiatives already in place, promote cooperation in training and the exchange of best practices, and it will promote joint action in multilateral fora while also mobilizing international support to strengthen the Caribbean's institutional capabilities for disaster risk management, and the international support will cover economic issues such as use of GDP per capita to graduate CARICOM member states from concessionary financing and preventing de-risking measures. Wednesday's summit approved the 7th Mexico CARICOM Technical Cooperation Program 2017 to 2019, which establishes a new paradigm for cooperation. Well, here's a tip now from Cooperators General Insurance.
This tip of the day is brought to you by Cooperators General Insurance Company Limited. Insurance the way you want it to be.
A mammogram is a low-dose X-ray film of the breast to help detect breast cancers. This tip is brought to you in association with the Barbados Cancer Society Breast Screening Program, celebrating its 15th anniversary.